Hey there, gnupg is here. In this video, we're going to go over how to potentially shrink your Docker image by about 26 megs if you happen to be installing a third-party Debian package through a custom sources list, and you want to verify that the package wasn't tampered with by making sure that the gnupg keys line up. So this will make a lot more sense once we start looking at an example here, and this is how to install Node on a Debian-based system. The instructions here will work with and without Docker. Although this is very top of mind for me because in my Docker Rails example app, I am installing Node in a very similar way here because I am using a Ruby base image, but we need to have the Node environment available in that Ruby image just due to how Rails compiles assets and things like that. But yeah, we're actually going to be able to not install gnupg. We're not going to have to use the binary version of the key, and then we're going to save 26 megs. And in this video, we're going to run some containers, do some before and afters, make sure things all still work, etc., etc. But before we get there, let's go over some super basics here on just how to install basically a custom package here. So in Node's case, it says, do an apt-get update, and then you install C certificates, curl, and gnupg here. It also says to make this key rings directory here. By the way, this will exist on Debian Bookworm by default. You actually don't need to make that directory. And then it says curl down their gnupg key. Now this is the ASCII version of the key. Basically, it's the plain text version of the key that we can see here. That's cool. And then it says pipe that into gnupg dearmor, and this command will convert that ASCII version of the key into a binary file. So if we rerun this command here, I'm just going to name it hello because I'm not going to really run all these commands on my WSL2 instance here. We're going to do it inside a container all in one shot. But yeah, in any case, if I run dearmor here on this one, then this will create the binary version of that file here. That's the difference that we saw before. The ASCII plain text version, we can read it. This one is the binary version, we cannot. But yeah, once we have that key, then we can just modify our app sources list, basically adding the node source list here. And we have this one command here that's being echoed out to that sources list here. But the really important takeaway for this video here is this signed by option over here, where we are passing in the gnupg key. And in this case here, that is the binary version of that key. However, the apt sources list over here actually supports passing in the plain text version of that key instead. But there is a very subtle takeaway here in that you can't name it .key. It actually has to be named .asc. And yeah, then once you do that, you don't need to install this package because you don't need to get the binary version, and then you're good to go. And then you can just install Node as if it were any package because yeah, it's available in your sources list. And how I figured that one out was in the man pages for apt-key, which is now a deprecated utility. There is a section here for deprecation that does mention that if you do have the file extension to be ASCII, then it will use the ASCII or plain text version of the key. Whereas if you have the gnupg extension, then it's going to use the binary format instead. So that is actually quite nice. So yeah, now that we know a little bit how to install Node like that, let's actually go through and do some before and afters inside of a Docker container. And for that, you can just run a container here. In this case, this is the official Debian image on the Docker Hub. We're going to be running Bookworm Slim. This is Debian 12, latest stable release of Debian here. If it's the first time you're running this, you're going to have to download it first. But in my case, I've already had it downloaded, so we can run it very quickly here. But yeah, if we take a look here at all the installed packages on the system here, we can see that gnupg is not here. There's no gnupg binary, and yeah, other packages that we can see here as well. It is worth pointing out the first line of output is not very important. And the only reason I say that is because now we can do a word count on this, and we can see that there's actually 88 packages installed, right? It's 89 here, but the first line of output isn't important there. Cool. So now we know basically our baseline system here. We have 88 packages installed without gnupg. So let's go ahead and install gnupg and see what the output there is. And actually, when we run this command to install, it is going to let us know how much disk space is actually being used. So first things first, I need to run an apt-get update, and then we can do an apt-get install on gnupg here. And the reason I'm only going with gnupg here and not C certificates is because honestly, on every single system or every single Docker image I've built, you probably will end up needing this package installed. I mean, even curl, I think, installs it by default. If you're going to be making a secure connection, like an HTTPS connection, through your web application or something like that, you're going to end up with these libraries anyways. So yeah, I just wanted to isolate it to gnupg here. So let's do that. And actually, I'm not going to use Y because I want to see the disk space here. Oh yeah. Okay, there we go. And now it is going to gnupg here. And then it is going to say, after this operation, 26 megabytes of additional disk space will be used. Cool, let's do it. And then it's going to install this here. And, this may take, I don't know how long it's going to take actually, 10 seconds, maybe 9, 8, 7, nope, even faster. Nice. And yeah, so now if we do this command here, we can see that it is going to be installed somewhere in this list here. there it is. GPG binaries are all there. And yeah, let's do a rerun of this word count L. And then we can see now there's actually 113 packages installed. So what is that, a difference of something? I don't know, 113 minus 88, 113 minus 88. Yeah, 25 packages. So it's kind of interesting that it saves 26 megs of disk space and 25 packages. And yeah, I mean, that just means your Docker image is going to be smaller. And it also means that your images are going to be built a little bit faster. And yeah, I mean, 26 megs is no joke. I mean, if your Docker image is 260 megs, saving 26 is 10%. If you have a 500 meg image, you're still saving 5%, which actually is a pretty big deal as well. But yeah, let's actually make sure that this really works and we can install Node in this way and everything is nice. So I'm going to rerun a completely fresh environment now. Let's do an apt-get update, and then I'll do an apt-get install just on curl because we don't need gnupg, right? And I'm pretty sure curl is going to install CA certificates anyways. If we take a look here, we can see it's going to be installed as a dependency there. But okay, that's now running its thing. And I'm actually going to go straight to my Docker example here and go to the Docker file. And we can see that the curl command that I'm running here is very similar to the Node documentation. But again, remember, we mentioned using that ASCII extension here. That's what we're using here. There's no gnupg command here. It's not being installed. Build Essential is a very big subset, or it installs a whole bunch of different packages, but that's a whole nother separate discussion here. But in any case here, let's grab this whole thing. I'm also going to do core pack enable just because that enables yarn. It doesn't install anything new, but yeah, there's the command that I just copied. Let's see where we're at here when we install this one. And actually, you know what? Let's verify that it doesn't install correctly first, just by, save some time, just by downloading this key here. And then we're going to modify the name of this one. I think I'm going to actually have to install Vim as well because we're going to have to edit that file. I just want to tamper with the key to emulate what would happen there if we were to screw around with the key. All right, whatever node sources. Wait, didn't I just download that to here? Did I not? Oh, I downloaded it to key rings. Okay, duh. So, okay, key rings, node source. Cool. Let's modify that q to be a lowercase q or something like that. And then if you go back to the commands here, we'll just start from this echo command here and run it all the way up to there. So then we can go to here, and this should, in theory, fail. Yep, totally fails because it can't be verified because that key was tampered with, which is not good. Well, it's good in this case because it verifies that things work, but it's good. It's also protecting you. So let's bring that back to a capital Q on how that was. Rerun this command here, and this should let things fly through, and we'll have Node installed, and yarn will be available. We can see Node actually requires installing Python, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, let's see how this all works in the end here. I actually don't know how long Node's going to take to install. Hopefully it's pretty quick. There we go. If we do a Node version, we have Node installed. If we do a yarn version, that should also return some type of version here as well. Yeah, cool. So yeah, that is basically that. Yeah, I also made this very similar adjustment to my Docker Ansible role, which does install Docker itself. Now it's not Node, but it is this idea of like adding Docker to the sources list and then, doing that. So that saves me having to run one extra task in Ansible. And yeah, might as well do that optimization if you can. So yeah, let us know in the comments below if you're going to do something similar. And with that said, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up because it really does help a lot. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video.